तिलक लगा के मिट्टी का तू बाजी आज लगा ले, ओ तिलक लगा के मिट्टी का तू बाजी आज लगा ले, तुझ में जो चिंगारी है उस शोला आज बना ले, जान लगा के खेल खिलाड़ी, ओ जान लगा के खेल खिलाड़ी, साथ हमेशा स्पोर्ट्स इंडी, शान बढ़ा तू रहे अगाड़ी, जीत की भाषा स्पोर्ट्स इंडी, 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 स्पोर्ट्स इंडी।
Welcome, good evening, and once again, welcome to a fantastic episode of World of Sports presented by Sports Indie. And what a wonderful day it is that we have started this journey. In fact, we had a wonderful opening on the auspicious day of Gudi Padwa, and now we are here with a very wonderful first episode of our series where we talk about sports, we talk about athletes, we talk about the various aspects of things going on around in the sporting world. Even though when the whole world is fighting with the pandemic, we are also getting news about our friends. Someone is down, someone is sick, someone is recovering. But the best way to overcome all these things is to talk about sports and, of course, to play the game of life. Welcome, friends. And today, this episode is going to be quite interesting because we thought that before starting this episode, how should we go about it? What should be the first episode? And because we should always be very careful and knowledgeable about our own traditions, our own sports, our own indigenous sports. And that's the reason why this episode is very special today, because we are going to talk about indigenous sports, and that too with someone who has, I would say, spent a lifetime grooming, cultivating, and endorsing all the indigenous sports. And it's a great pleasure that we welcome in this particular episode a fine young man, and I would say young man because he has been working hard all his life just for one mission and just one vision, and that is how can we take care of indigenous sports. Himself was a former international Mallakhamb player and has been working at Shivaji Park. Every time you go at Shivaji Park, you can't miss this gentleman. Has been awarded with the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Lifetime Achievement Award, various awards to his name, also a TEDx speaker. It's a great pleasure that we welcome on this episode none other than the very young, vibrant and the wonderful Uday Deshpande sir. Uday sir, बहुत स्वागत है आपका.
Namaste and thank you very much.
So nice to see you, sir, and I hope you're looking absolutely fit and fine.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes, we also have with us the founder and the CEO of Sports Indie, because this is the vision of this young lady, an entrepreneur by herself, and has her love for sports is actually what has actually helped us build this whole concept and curate this concept. Supriya Thai, बहुत स्वागत है आपका.
Thank you so much.
Great.
And welcome. Very nice to you have on this World of Sports platform.
Yes, this is the world of sports, and let's begin from that part of the world from where we come from. And I think, Supriya, I'll also ask you this question, but Uday sir, to begin with, how do you differentiate between indigenous sports and regular sports? Because cricket, badminton, hockey, football, so many of them. But how do you differentiate कि ये indigenous है, ये हमारा देसी खेल है, और ये विदेशी खेल है? क्या कहेंगे आप?
In fact, I was very much impressed by the name Sports Indie, as if it is indigenous sports only. So basically, those sports which have started in our own motherland, like all the traditional Indian sports like Kabaddi, Kho-Kho, then Atya-Patya, Kalaripaitu, Thangta, and Lagori, which is under all these sports, and the sports in which I am involved, that is Mallakhamb. All these sports are traditionally Indian sports, and I was mentioning this in one of my articles. When we were conquered by the Mughals and later by the English Britishers, what we lost is not only our freedom, not only our motherland, but they conquered all our best part of culture. That maybe the music, maybe the education system, maybe the sports. So whatever the conquerors had, that was good, and whatever we had, the losers had, that was all ridiculed. That was the established nature. So we had many good things in our culture, like Indian music, Indian medicine, Indian education system, and Indian sports. All this was ridiculed and it was vanished. So now again, it's very good thing that we are reviving back. We are trying to nurture our own traditional sports, and you may find a striking difference between the other sports and Indian sports. Indian sports are basically with connection with each other, maybe kabaddi or
Mhm.
maybe kho kho or maybe atya patya, or even like Mallakhamb, which has got the connection with the apparatus. And secondly, all these sports, they do not require a very big playground like cricket or
Mhm.
hockey or football. They are in a small space and maximum number of people can take benefit of it. Like we always say that Mallakhamb is the unique piece of apparatus which gives maximum exercise to each and every part of the body within shortest time. And now in this situation of pandemic, when we have to improve our immune system, there is no other best exercise other than Mallakhamb. So all these Indian sports, we have to nourish and nurture, and we have to work hard for it to take them further.
Absolutely. Really well said. Ki we lost out certain things in the last few thousand years or something like that. Supriya, I would like to ask you also, do you think, because we are general people talking to Uday sir right now, do you think that people generally are not aware about indigenous sports? Wrestling भी अपना है, archery भी अपनी है, कुश्ती भी, कबड्डी भी अपनी है, but कलरी too, आट्या पाट्या. Do people don't know about it? Is that the case?
Uh, yeah, unfortunately, we can say over the generations, the indigenous sports has got least importance, and people get more attracted towards the sports played across other part of the globe. And yes, so now with this Sportsindi platform and the speakers and who has worked very great in the field of indigenous sports as our speaker today, Uday sir. So with such guidance and their experience, we will able to reestablish our love and faith for indigenous games. No doubt.
Fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic.
Pankaj, I would like to add on here one more thing, that I'll be
Yes.
more happy when the sports indie song, what we heard, beautiful song, what we heard, and the picturization of that song. If some Mallakhamb poses are included in that, I'll be more happy. Yes, we have given justice to the Indian sports.
No, we will do that. We'll do that. We'll definitely do
And
that.
secondly,
That.
I would tell you on at this point, when we were trying to get Mallakhamb recognized by the government of India, unfortunately, the Babus sitting in the Delhi in Shastri Bhavan, they used to tell us, Mallakhamb, वो तो जैसे दंड बैठक है वैसे एक्सरसाइज है, वो खेल थोड़ी है. So how can we recognize it as a sport? And believe me, we were conducting national championships for over 25 years, but government of India has not recognized the sport. Even we had collected about 130 letters from different MPs from different states, and we had given those letters to the sports minister then, appealing them to give justice to the sport and recognize it as a sport, especially for Mallakhamb. But once even late Mohan Raule asked his question in the parliament that is the game of Mallakhamb recognized by the government of India, and what the government is doing to promote this game abroad. And you'll be surprised, Margaret Alva was the sports minister that time, and she had said in the parliament, I've got the written copy of that. She had said in the parliament that we have asked for certain information from the Mallakhamb Federation of India. On receipt of that information, we will decide about the recognition of the sport. And to promote the game abroad is the sole responsibility of the concerned federation and not of the government. when China is doing for wushu, when Japan is doing for judo, when Malaysia is doing for sepak takraw, and when Korea is doing for taekwondo, all these countries are trying to promote their own indigenous sports, and our government is saying it is not the responsibility of the government, and it is only the responsibility of the concerned federation. That was very bad side. And now opposite this, now the government of India, Honorable Prime Minister, he has in his Mann Ki Baat also he has mentioned specifically Mallakhamb, and
Correct.
our traditional sports should be encouraged. So I'm very happy to change this contrast, the different scenario.
Right, but taking your point forward, it's very important that is that the case because our indigenous sports are so culturally ingrained in our lifestyle that we don't consider them as sports, but it is a lifestyle. Because, for example, the glamour seems to be missing because you are doing Mallakhamb as a regular lifestyle. Someone is doing yoga as a regular lifestyle.
Right,
Someone is doing, indigenous
right.
Kalaripayattu as a lifestyle. So, is that the case because of which we don't consider as sports? Or it's a way of life. Is that the case?
in in one way what you say is right, but specifically I will not blame other sports like cricket because it's so marketed, it is so much publicized. Even on the Doordarshan you will find that three-fourths of the period telecast, it's basically cricket and nothing else. But it is not them to be blamed. We have to work hard for our own sport, and we have to make a lot of efforts to take these sports to the masses. Like we are teaching what are the benefits of it. There should be a lot of
Hmm.
research on this. What are like I told you, for the immunity, the sport is the best. So how it helps. Even the different age group people, Shantilal Sanghvi at the age of 89, he performed in the World Championship. So many people from abroad, from
True.
different countries. Now, so far, there are more than 300 people who are coming to Samartha Vyayam Mandir at Shivaji Park and they are learning Mallakhamb. So, this is to be publicized more in
More,
our
right.
country, especially in Maharashtra also, there are many places where traditionally on different occasions there would be demonstrations and there will be sort of demonstrations of pyramids or but we have to make it an effort to take it to the people, and how we can take
People.
it, that is the success of the sport.
I think how we can take it is having you on
Right.
this particular episode of World of Sports is the first step forward towards taking it to the masses as much as possible. But Udayji, there is a
Absolutely,
social
Pankaj,
problem
I'm so
also.
happy that yeah,
Yeah, go on. Please go on.
right, yes. No, I was just saying
Yes.
that in this world of sports, the first episode after this Anjali Bhagwat and shooting, you had turned to the traditional Indian sport. That's the great achievement for me, and I'm very much thankful to you for that. And this is the way how we
Absolutely.
should try to publicize our own sport, writing down different articles on that in different languages, or taking out nice booklets or material, print material, or taking to the media, and then people will come to me. When I walk to Shivaji Park also, sometimes I ask just a bystander, "What is Mallakhamb?" And he said, "Mallakhamb? I don't know what is Mallakhamb." So even in my own place where I
Backyard.
teach it for so many years, a person doesn't know what is Mallakhamb. So that is our own if challenge that we have to still go to maybe in different states, maybe in different countries, but at our own backyard, as you rightly said, we have to publicize
Correct.
this sport more and more.
राइट उधर सर एक ना सोशल प्रॉब्लम सामने आता है क्या होता है कि वी आर ऑलवेज अट्रैक्टेड टुवर्ड्स व्हाट अदर्स डू एंड
Yeah.
इट्स हैपनिंग विद अस बिकॉज़ इंडिया ऑफ लेट इज परफॉर्मिंग वेरी वेल इन गेम्स लाइक wushu kurash or sepak takraw which is more of a balkan or a
Yeah.
southeast asian kind of an origin
Yeah.
and a lot of other countries are interested in
Right.
what indian sports are so it's also a social problem that we are interested in other international things and other people are interested in our own indigenous sports.
And basically, it's a gimmick of marketing. The more
Oh.
people do the marketing, your game will be more popular. So when I started working in this field, I started giving demonstrations. We call it Gully to Delhi. So for any
Oh,
Satyanarayan Puja, for any school gathering, for any college, we used to give demonstration. And for the kabaddi tournaments or for the table tennis world championships, badminton Bombay Gymkhana tournament. So whenever we got the opportunity to display Mallakhamb, we used to give a demonstration. Even you'll be surprised, all India inter-university competitions were conducted in gymnastics for many years, but Bombay University was not participating. And due to the efforts of
Okay.
late Mone, Bombay University started taking part in the All India Inter-University Gymnastic competitions. I used to take my students there for gymnastics that time. But what I used to do is, during that gymnastic championships, I used to also give a demonstration of Mallakhamb before the closing ceremony, and then people used to come to know what is Mallakhamb. And
Right.
slowly, due to the impact of that, later on, Mallakhamb was also added in the All India Intervarsity Gymnastics tournament, along with the pole Mallakhamb for the boys, the rope Mallakhamb
Mhm.
for the girls was also added to it.
Amazing,
So
amazing.
it's
That's
how
very
we
interesting.
make the effort, and call it uh, I call it a defeat or not success of the people who are working in the field. They should be more courageous. They should be more active in the field and
Right.
try to see how we can take our game forward
Absolutely. No
instead of
doubt
blaming
about that.
others.
Yes, and indigenous sports is our own identity. It is who we are. It is whom we belong to.
Right.
So we should have that kind of a pride for our clan. So that's the thing. Udayji, do you think that the efforts that have been put in over the last few years, तो क्या अब मल्लखंब और जो कुछ indigenous sports है, वो अब यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे, क्या ये एक्सेप्टेबल हो चुके हैं ऑफिशियली?
Yes, of course. Now Mallakhamb is included not only in the All India inter-university along gymnastics. They conduct the Mallakhamb championship, pole Mallakhamb for the boys and rope Mallakhamb for the girls. At the same time, it is included in the national school games also, and the
Okay.
district level, state level, and the national level by the federation, state association. That competitions are also conducted. There are many more competitions which are called invitational tournaments on the level, state level, national level. All India Mumbai Mayor's Cup also is conducted every year, and we include national level there. Not that, but there are people who come forward and some tournament on team of some veteran Mallakhamb player or Mallakhamb, and many people who from different states who take part in that competition also. So this is the
Hmm.
way how it should be. And now there should be some women All India Women's Sports Festival or rural games. In that also Mallakhamb should be included. I am happy that when the third national games were conducted in Maharashtra, this Mallakhamb was included as the demonstration game in the national games also. We are talking about taking Mallakhamb to the Olympics, but the unfortunate part is it is not yet regularly included in our national games also. So that's the first and foremost challenge that we should take it. We should try to get it included in the national games as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think step by step, the associations, the federations have done a good job. And in fact, I was initially surprised whether indigenous games have their own associations or not. But when I started reading about you and others,
Yeah,
I mean, you all had
Federation
your
of
national
India and the
federations.
state
Yes.
association.
So it's good, to see an official thing happening.
So I
And
became the
yeah.
secretary in right. Yeah. So I was just telling that in
Haha.
1989, I became the secretary of Mallakhamb Federation of India. And that time, only 4 state associations were there who used to take part in the national championships. But I moved from each and every state, right from Assam, Arunachal, Meghalaya, Manipur, Tripura, Nagaland, and even in the south, like Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Goa, Andhra Pradesh, and Haryana, Chandigarh. I moved to each and every state. I collected few people, gave demonstrations, conducted workshops, formed the state associations, and got them affiliated to the state association. And now there are 29 state associations who are affiliated to Mallakhamb Federation of India.
Amazing, amazing. I think the hard work that you have put in, just by listening, I was actually,
And in the
imagining you
same
went from
manner,
us. Yeah.
right, in the state association also, there were Mumbai, Pune, Satara, Sangli, there were some districts, districts where Mallakhamb used to be traditionally played. But then I went to ride from Hingoli and Gadchiroli and each and every district of Maharashtra, and went there. They gave some information about Mallakhamb, gave demonstrations, conducted collected a few people who registered the association, got it registered, and then got it affiliated to the state association. Now you'll be
Yes.
surprised. Mallakhamb may be one and only sport where each and every district of Maharashtra is having registered district association and affiliated to the state association.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think this is one of the biggest
So
achievements
that's the next
as far
thing.
as, yeah, I think, this is one of the biggest achievements of getting a classical Indian traditional game into a very structured administrative position that we need as of now. Because from the jobs perspective, from the funding perspective, from a lot of other perspectives, this is very important, and you all are doing a really
Right,
fantastic job.
right.
Friends, of course, you can see the number of sports indie in the scroll. You have any stories to share? You have any questions to ask? You have any inputs to give, please do also call us. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, the Sports Indie page, the Mithi Group page, and of course the YouTube channel on which you can see us right now and listen to the fantastic talk that Uday sir
Right.
is, the journey basically he's trying to describe. Uday sir, just another tangent which I would like to ask. What happens, sports is now so much associated with glamour, the Bollywood angle, the this angle, the that angle. The youngsters today want to see their sports icons very fashionable, very glamorous. Everything is on Insta, social media. Everything is there. So, do you see that the
Mhm.
Indian sports, the indigenous sports, can also have that glamour angle, also have that social media angle? Do you think?
Yeah, that's the main important thing. And many a times you have to take it to the people who are interested in that. Like if we are taking some Milind Soman, he's a
Ah,
great marathon runner. And if he turns to the Malkham, you'll be surprised the people will follow him, like what he's doing. Or Padmaja Fenani Joglekar, she's a Padma Shri in music, in singing. And if she's doing Malkham and people come to know that, yeah, Padmaja Tai Malkham doing Malkham. Or Isha Sharwani. There are many celebrities in Malkham and who are regularly trying to promote this sport, then definitely it will have some glamour. We even conducted
okay,
the Malkham Championships in Mumbai. Isha Sharwani, who was then star in that Kisna movie, and she
right.
gave a live demonstration there. So many stalwarts, many people are there. Even Nana Patekar and Shah Rukh Khan. People, if they are trying Malkham, and people will come to know, yes, the people will definitely try to follow them.
Amazing, amazing. And I think so that angle needs to be added as you all
Glamour
grow
angle is
bigger.
always there.
Yeah, because new age and now everyone is online. So also one more thing which comes to my mind is that many a times the urban people look at indigenous sport as very rural, very desi, बहुत मिट्टी से जुड़े हुए हैं लेकिन हम तो थोड़ा सा we are classy kind of. So it's too hard to play these kind of games. For example, your fencing is there, talwarbazi is
Sophisticated.
all. Yeah, yeah. So, do you think that these sports can also be taken more towards the urban crowd? Because what happens, unfortunately, the urban crowd is more interested in the accessories, but Mallakham or other indigenous sports don't have any accessories. तो फिर मैं helmet कैसे पहनूंगा? मैं gloves कैसे
Right.
पहन सकता हूँ? My t-shirts are there. My so many things are there. So this
Absolutely.
fashion statement is slightly missing from the indigenous sport.
Ha, ha,
So
ha.
can something be done to connect this with the urban crowd?
Yeah, exactly. And Malcolm has got the main strength in that. That number one, it is compensate for all other sports. In each exercise, it requires strength, stamina, speed, endurance, flexibility, neuromuscular coordination, confidence, coordination. And all these mental and physical abilities are best developed on this simple apparatus, a wooden pole or a cotton rope. So these are the advantages. And when we do Malkham, not only our external muscles like biceps and triceps are developed, but all our internal systems are also well developed. One of my colleagues, Dr. Nita Tatke, she has made research on this, did PhD, and that students who are other sports and those who are playing Malkham, or the students who are not playing any sport and the student who are playing Mallakhamb, what is the difference in their different parameters? And it is scientifically proved that their quick decision making or their grasping, but these are where Mallakhamb plays important role. So these are the things which we should take it to the urban or the even the rural population, and they will definitely turn over to Mallakhamb.
Amazing, amazing.
Pankaj,
Yeah.
Pankaj, I just want to add more about what Uday sir said. See,
Mm-hmm.
these all pictures which I just seen on the screen related to Malkham.
Yes.
What I found, those all players they are have a good balance. They can they can do well balancing. They have
Right.
focus efforts. They have flexibility.
Right.
So just one idea clicked to my mind. Let us do one thing that whoever are these Mallakhamb player, let
Uh-huh.
us ask them to come together and make them perform on some music or means like all Mallakhamb players can form a group and they can prepare a dance form for
Okay.
Mallakhamb, and that we can show on our this sports indie so that it will reach to masses.
A very good idea, sir. Uday sir, what do you say? Because bodybuilding में भी आजकल music around होता है, no? You have to kind of flex
Absolutely.
your muscles with your,
I
music
would
going
love
on,
it.
and you can even
Absolutely.
have the Mallakhamb. So can we actually try and prepare this kind of
Yes, yes, yes.
activity?
Yes, we have on the 15th of June, we celebrate International Mallakhamb Day. And that day, I had written one poem on Mallakhamb. And then Nadesh
Uh-huh.
Umap Lok Shahir, he had given voice and music to it. And it is so nice song. On that song, we performed pole Mallakhamb, rope Mallakhamb, and different varieties of that. And people appreciated it like anything. So that's the main important criteria how we can promote and take Mallakhamb to the masses. And secondly, Mallakhamb advantages for the blind children. I've been teaching Mallakhamb to the blind children. In Mumbai, there are 3 blind schools like Kamla Mehta School for the Blind, and Happy Home for the Blind, and Victoria Memorial School for the Blind. And the children who cannot
Mm-hmm.
see, when you will see them performing Mallakhamb, you won't believe that they are blind. In such a manner, they perform,
Oh.
and it helps them a lot in their physical parameters also, and in their concentration and memory, and especially self-esteem what they develop, and
Mm.
it's a great boon for them.
Fantastic. I think, sir, we can actually go on talking throughout the day on this with you. It's almost 27 odd minutes. We really didn't realize that we are talking for such a long time. But finally, there are a couple of questions, Supriya. I also like to get your view on this. So, Uday sir, what do you think is the future of indigenous sports in the current scenario when it's expanding, all sports are being followed, families are
Okay.
also okay with their children taking up sports as a career? So, what do you see the future of indigenous
Right.
sports as?
Right. Now, I tell you, I am very much optimistic about it, and I'm looking at the drastic change a few years back, and now in this present government with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Kiran Rijiju taking the lead. Not only Malkham
Uh-huh.
but Tanga and Kalavipaitu, all these indigenous sports, what they have. Malkham, the Sports Authority of India, under the KPS scheme, they have given 100 Malkham centers throughout India, and more than 5 lakhs amount grant has been given to them with sports equipment like rope Malkham frame and pole Malkham frame and mattresses
Okay.
and crash mats and everything. So 100 Malkham centers would be developed throughout India, and of course, government is appointing Malkham coaches, and with some 40,000 rupees as a basic salary for them, and 5 coaches from
Hmm.
different states. So as a career also, earlier we used to do it as a hobby. Now you turn it to the Malkham coaching as career also. I've got many of my students who go to different schools and teach Malkham in the schools, and they are earning a lot of money in that. So if you have a good Malkham player, and if you have got the skill to teach Malkham, to demonstrate Malkham, you have got the sky is the limit. You can earn anything on that. Even when I was in Malaysia, a person from India had gone there who was a chartered
Okay.
accountant. And while doing his yoga classes, and slowly the yoga classes got so much popular that he left his job and just continued with yoga classes as profession. And he was asking me, will you come there, because we cannot shut down our yoga classes and come to India to learn Mallakhamb. You can come and teach us Mallakhamb here. And when I went there, I taught
Lovely.
them Mallakhamb. He said, send me one coach. I will pay him at least 10,000 rupees per month with all his lodging payments I'll make. He has to just teach Mallakhamb. So these are the opportunities what people are getting, because Mallakhamb is getting more and more popular, not only in India but abroad also, in at least 47 countries where Mallakhamb is regularly practiced. So it's a great
Amazing.
career opportunity for the Mallakhamb players as well.
So we can say that Mallakhamb is basically an international sport, but an international indigenous sport. I think that is what we can say. But Supriya, one final question to you: do you think that we can actually also
Right,
amalgamate
absolutely right.
gymnastics, Mallakhamb, and dancing once in a while in order to promote this much better? Because dancers can also do this; they can also do gymnastics and Mallakhamb. Do you think that's possible?
Hmm.
Yes, yes, quite possible, quite possible. And rather, I feel now one good thing happening in like in India, people are more health center or health cautious
Hmm.
now, and maybe because of that angle, people will take Malkham in a right and positive spirit and may get attracted in near future towards Malkham. So let us try. We can do this thing, gymnastics,
Yeah.
Malkham, and dance. We can just try
Lovely.
out. Let us have some small event designed for this. We'll just
Yes.
explore. Definitely, definitely.
Correct, because because now, by the way, breakdance is now going to be a part of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So the next step is Kalari Payattu and Mallakham
Right.
and some indigenous games should be immediately there in the national games in India. Next is the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games, and then of course the Olympics is the dream. Udayji, do you agree with this?
Fantastic. Absolutely. And see, it has got nice connection with yoga. And for the
Yeah.
people, they call it Mallakhamb as the yoga on pole or Mallakhamb as the yoga on the rope. So they are connected with Dr. Reinhard Bugler when visited India. He's from Germany, a yoga teacher. He said that whatever we do in the same thing what we are doing on the pole or on the rope. So all the benefits what we are doing, practicing yoga on the ground, you are getting those benefits practicing yoga poses on the pole and the rope. So he wanted somebody to who will come to India, learn Mallakhamb, and then he wanted to start Mallakhamb in Germany. And in 2004, one of his disciple, Schneider, she came to India, she learned Mallakhamb herself, and then she started promoting Mallakhamb in Germany. Now, since 2004, I am taking 10 children from India to Germany every year, and they are conducting 2 workshops in Munich, in Germany. In each workshop, there are 50 children enrolled. So, in 1 year, 100 German children learn Mallakhamb. So, in last 16 years, there are 1,600 children, German children who have learned Mallakhamb. So that's the strength of Mallakhamb, which we should try to take advantage and take it to the international level as well.
Absolutely, and I think even the kind of enthusiasm when you're talking about this game is so it rubs on you. ऐसा लगता है कि इस जोश में हम भी आगे बह जाए और आगे निकल के इन गेम्स को इन भारतीय जो खेल है हमारे इनको हम आगे लेकर जाए. As I said, we can actually go on talking about this for a long, long time. But Udayji, thank you so much for joining us today, and hope that the next time when we meet, definitely we'll talk about how India is
My
performing good
pleasure.
at the Asian Games in Mallakhamb and so many games. Please keep on working hard. Please stay safe. Please stay very, very fit.
Right.
Supriya
Right.
Thai, also thank you very much for joining us.
Sure.
And in these episodes of the world of sports, we will keep on talking about all the different aspects. Keep talking to some fantastic human beings who have been there, done that in sports. But for that, you also have to follow us on Facebook, on our Sports Indie page, on our Miti Group page, as well as follow us on the or subscribe to our YouTube channel. So once again, Supriya Dai, thank you very much. Please stay safe and healthy. Udayji, thank you very much. Be as flexible as possible. And if you consider us as kids, please take us to Germany
Thanks a
sometime.
lot.
We'll also try and play some Mallakhamb with you.
Wow. Great.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. That's what
Thanks a
we
lot.
have in this episode.
Good one.
Thanks for joining in and stay tuned.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sports Indie, Sports Indie, Sports Indie. तिलक लगा के मिट्टी का तू बाजी आज लगा ले, ओ तिलक लगा के मिट्टी का तू बाजी आज लगा ले, तुझ में जो चिंगारी है उस शोला आज बना ले। जान लगा के खेल खिलाड़ी, ओ जान लगा के खेल खिलाड़ी, साथ हमेशा स्पोर्ट्स इंडी, शान बढ़ा तू रहे अगाड़ी, जीत की भाषा स्पोर्ट्स इंडी।